So the work of my research began out of my frustration as an assistant principal middle school, where I was dealing with half the school's discipline day in and day out. I was working with parents, I was working with teachers, I was working with students, and I began to notice some common threads. Teachers were seeing the same behaviors out of parents that we were seeing out of students. We also began to notice that ISS and OSS didn't work. It wasn't creating the change in behavior that we needed to see. So something needed to change, something needed to be done. I began to look at restorative practices as a viable option on how to create that work. As I looked at the origins and histories of restorative practices, that led me to go down the road of what are zero tolerance policies? Where did they come from? Why do we have them? How did that lead to the disenfranchisement of students in the school system? That also then led me to, well, how do we define what a teacher-student relationship is? What is that? What are the behaviors associated with that? We then began to look at, well, how do we even implement this? How do we take what we already have, because we can't change it, and weave this into what we're already doing? And lastly, I looked at, as a leader, what is my role and responsibility for this moving forward in this work? Throughout all of that research and looking through, that common theme of relational trust began to emerge. With a focused lens on relational trust, I began to lean on the work of Tashan Moran. That was pivotal to defining 4 key behaviors of trust and associating those with the core 4 behaviors of restorative practices. We began to look at benevolence and how that tied directly to voluntary participation. We looked at reliability and how that led to a creation of a safe space. Honesty and openness and how those led to working in senses of healing. With this lens, we looked at relational trust as a way to implement and look at our restorative practices moving forward. Through various duties and responsibilities, and then through our sources and of our action research and our data sources, we're able to find and weave a story of teachers and their ability to talk about how relations and restorative practices weave together. Teachers were able to talk about their ability to have supportive integration, where we took what was already happening inside the school system and how do we weave that into restorative practices culture to where now they don't feel like we're adding another burden, another layer of something they need to do, but this is something that was organic and already in the school system. We then looked at teachers' willingness to extend themselves beyond the curriculum and how were they going above and beyond the school day to learn who their students were and learn their names, learn their likes and dislikes, and really foster those relationships outside of the curriculum. We then also looked at teachers' abilities to be intentional with planning of restorative practices and making it part of their embedded curriculum day in and day out. And lastly, all of those create a sense of healing, where when harm was done, teachers felt that there was a sense of healing when students returned back into the classroom. And lastly, all of this is underpinned by a song lyric that I live by B.J. Barnum, where he says, the most valuable thing you can give somebody is their time. That is not only the essence of restorative practices, but the essence of teaching as well. Thank you.